Hey guys, Brett Lies here, and welcome to another Vanguard Deck profile. Today, as you can see, I have the Dragonic Blademaster Cohen deck with alongside Flarearm Ziegenberg, the new cargo stride from gbt11. So this deck is a lot of fun. It's very, it can be aggressive, but it's also very conservative at the same time. Like, you don't have to fully commit to actually hit big numbers, but this deck can hit pretty decent numbers. Restanding Vanguards are always a threat. Has good board control, gains natural crits. So this deck is really a force to be reckoned with, and definitely not to be underestimated. So, without further ado, let's get started into the profile. So, for starters, it should be kind of obvious. Lizard Soldier Conroe, one of the best cargo starters out there. It got banned for a reason. So, obviously going to play him. It gives you access to, important cards like your Stride Fodders, your Unflippers, your Bellogs, your Perfect Guards. They're all really important to actually have in your hand, and it just guarantees that you'll actually get the right grade 3, that you'll have counter charge, and yeah, it's just really good. And also, it's terrifying when people are just like, oh no, Conroe, but obviously Conroe's a really good card. So for all of you guys who may have forgotten what Conroe does, is he doesn't even have the Forerunner ability, you just move him to a rearguard circle, so that's how old he is. Then on rearguard circle, you can countless 1, kill him, search for a grade 1 or lower. So you can also search for a heal to do G-Guard with if you really want, but he's typically searching out your grade 1s to make plays. So next up for grade 3s, we're playing 4 of the new Blademaster Cohen, obviously. He's the main boss unit. He's really good. He has the Blaze ability, and his Stride ability is, when you stride on top of him, you pay the cost of Counterblast 1. If you do, you choose one of your opponent's rearguards, retire it, and then you choose a unit with the Blaze ability and give it 3k. It's just strictly a better of the old one, because you get plus 2k, which is pretty nice, and it also has the Blaze ability, which is very important, because its second ability is at Generation Break 2 at the end of each turn, so at the end of your opponent's turn and your turn. If your opponent has no rearguards, you get to add a grade 3 of the Blaze ability back from your drop zone to your hand, so it's really good. So it's just like, if they didn't commit at all, you just get a free Stride Fodder for the next turn. And typically you're going to be board wiping them quite a lot, just because of how this deck plays. So yeah, the 4 Cohen is a must. Next up, we're playing the 1 OG Blademaster. Reason why is because a lot of your stuff need Blademaster to actually work, and since Ziegenberg does not have Blademaster in its name, it can hinder your plays if you don't have a Blademaster. So riding this OG one isn't the worst thing in the world, but it does allow you to still make plays until you can actually fetch your Cohen. But he's just there for consistency stakes. Next up, I'm playing 2 Jago, I think that's how you pronounce it. So here's a common from gbt11. He's actually really good. So 1, he has the Blaze ability, so he can be fetched with Cohen. This one doesn't, so he can't be fetched. His other ability is when he's placed on rearguard circle, you can Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. Oh, Vanguard or rearguard circle, but typically rearguard circle. And then you get a retire unit in the same column as him. So you can hit back row, which is really important for this guy's ability, because he has Blaze. On Vanguard, rearguard circle, at Generation Break 1, if your Vanguard is blazing, this unit gets plus 2k for every open back row they have. So he can hit 17 by himself, which is pretty good numbers for that. And then if you give him the 3k with Cohen and boost him with the 11k, he can hit 31, which is really good numbers. So yeah, grade 3s I find are typically quite normal, nothing too fancy. So for grade 2s, this one is a personal one, but I play 410k vanillas, mostly because Night Rose, like I keep saying, I hate Night Rose, so this is pretty good. Also, with the grade 1, you can make 21k columns if you retire a unit, which is pretty good numbers. And another option you could play is, let me just see if I have one, is Nadim. Don't know where I put my Nadim, but he's the Blademaster guy who can get plus 2k and counter charge, so he can also play that guy. But I like Nahalem just because it gives you an early game presence, and if you manage your counterblast well in this deck, you don't need the grade 2 to counter charge, because it also has to hit. So it means it's a lot more conditional to unflip, but anyone consisting consistent unflipping. So next up we play 4 of the rare Mubidi. So he has the Blaze ability, and at Generation Break 2, when he attacks and you have a Blademaster Vanguard and you are blazing, you can counterblast 1. If you do, he gets plus 2k for every open rearguard circle your opponent has, and you get to draw a card. Keep in mind that this card is required to have a Blademaster Vanguard at Generation Break 2, and your Vanguard must be blazing. I have seen Dominate players go, I attack Mubidi, they immediately counterblast 1 and try and draw, but then I have to point out, look, you need a Blademaster Vanguard, and they don't have the grade 1 that makes the Vanguard a Blademaster. So they're technically misplaying if they ever do that to you. So just keep that in mind. And this card is really good. He can hit 19 by himself, 22 if you power him up with Cohen, and just really good. And because it adds extra draws to the deck, which the deck does need. It's pretty good. Next up, we're playing 3 Neoflame. This is here for the early game. Make your opponent play at the same pace as you. So you drop it, attack the rear column, and then just burn the whole thing. It's really good. Or late game when you're trying to clear out the board for Ziegenberg, you call it, kill 1 with Ziegenberg, kill another one with Neoflame. And if you use a stride skill, you can kill 3 units for Counterblast 2, Soul Blast 1, which is really good. So Neoflame's ability is, when he's placed on rearguard circle, he gets a new ability until end of turn, that when an opponent's rearguard is put to the drop zone, opponent's rearguard in the same column is put to the drop zone, you can pay the cost of Counterblast 1. If you do, choose another unit in the column and retire it. So keep in mind, this is just when it's put to drop zone, doesn't mean it needs to be retired. So even if you just swing at it and it goes to drop zone from rearguard circle, it dies, and then woohoo, you get to retire the back row. So this punishes players for overcommitting in the early game. So yeah, that's it for grade 2s. Next up for grade 1s, 4 Lava Flow. Stride Fighters are really good. Continuously play them. Now the reason why I'm playing 4, even though you can continuously fetch back grade 3s with Cohen, is because sometimes your opponent has resist. Like in the Blaster matchup, I never get his GB2 off because they have Laura in the back row and he has resist and I can't target it. And so I need to find other ways to stride. I've seen deck profiles that play 3 of these because they're abusing the GB2, but sometimes I just can't clear out the field, and so this is here for consistency's sakes, that you can continuously stride without dropping 2 cards. Next up for grade 1s, continue on grade 1s is for Dragonic Nadim. So he's your unflipper of the deck, so he has the Blaze ability, and once per turn, when your opponent's rearguard is put into the drop zone due to a card effect of yours, and you have a Blademaster Vanguard, you pay the cost, not pay the cost, but he gets a new skill, is when your Vanguard becomes blazing, you can get a counter charge 1 and get 4k. So he's really good with Neoflame in the early game because what you can do is have this column, and since this guy's not GB, you can swing, they retire 1, and then you're effectively getting a free retire with this column. So it's really good. So yeah, for Nadim, really good card. Keep in mind, you have to actually retire a unit in order to get the red text ability. So if they have no rearguards and you don't retire anything, you don't get the counter charge, which kind of sucks. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Next up, we're playing 3 Balog. I'd love to play 4, to be honest, but I don't really have space for a 4th copy. So Balog's skill is when he's placed on Guardian Circle, you give your Vanguard an ability. At the end of the battle that this unit was attacked, so at the end of the battle that your Vanguard was attacked, if the attack did not hit, choose one of your opponent's rearguards at rest and retire it. Remember, turn player has priority, so if they have a Flogel, you can't pop the Flogel, you have to let them resolve the Flogel, and then you get to pop another unit at rest, so just keep that in mind. Or you could like pop the Barkle so they don't get the extra counter charge next turn or something. So 3 Balog, he's pretty good. Next up, we'll play 4 Protect Orb. You could play Dumbledore, in all honesty. I don't like Dumbledore personally in this build because this build uses a counterblast, like 1 or 2 counterblasts like every turn, so you need a lot of unflipping. And so Protect Orb is the best option in my opinion, just because he's really good. But damage is okay. The 15k shield for not discarding a card is okay, but this deck draws a decent amount, so I find it's not too necessary. So for triggers, we're playing 4 Blademaster crits. You're playing a Blademaster deck. You need to have the Blademaster crit. Yes, I am missing 1 SP. I'm a little bit annoyed at that. But, yeah. Next up, playing 3 Tars, so you can crit sack more. I have tried a build that plays stands. I personally did not like it because I felt I did not have enough pressure of Ziegenberg. So I was trying like 4, 5 crit, 4, 3 stand, 5 draw, no 4 draw. Or 4 crit, 4 stand, 4 draw. Or combinations of that, including stands. And I found it just wasn't as successful. I wasn't killing my opponent as fast. Like normally with this ratio, I crit them enough early game that they're forced to guard both Ziegenberg attacks when they're at 4, because they're just that more pressuring of crits. But a lot of the time when I was playing stands, I found my opponent no guarding me at 4, and I couldn't finish them off because I drove check something that wasn't a crit. So I really like having more crits. Next up, 4 Gatling Claw, kill starters, really good. 1 a PK. Fix some numbers, but he's mostly here because he has an effect draw trigger. So 7 crit 5 draw, I still like this ratio a lot. And also, just in case you couldn't clear out the whole field of Ziegenberg, discarding draw triggers isn't the worst thing in the world. So, yeah. Oh yeah, and 4 Fighters Collection heals. So Fighters Collection heal, when it's paid for the cost for the Fighters Collection G-Guard, you can Soul Blast 1 if you have 1 or less damage face up. If you do, Countercharge 1. So, very rarely used ability, but can be used sometimes. Excuse me. So next up for strides, we're playing 1 Mustafa, 1 Vortex Desire. Vortex Desire is here if your opponent doesn't have too great of a field that you're worried about. So it could just be like maybe a simple regular grade 1 or something and just swing at this, and you don't really want to waste Mustafa, because Mustafa is here for guaranteed retires. Because you just can +1 flip over a G unit, which is going to be your Titan, and then you get a retire unit. We don't really care about a second ability because we're only playing 1 Mustafa. He's just here for guaranteed retire. This one's here for just here for pressure. So yeah, those are typically your first strides. Your either second or third stride normally, if you need some pressure on field, is 4 Dragonic Blademaster Titan. I have seen 1 build that plays none of these. That was the 3rd place in Singapore, I believe. That was a really troll build. In my opinion, you need these because in some matchups, you want to actually wipe their field rather than pressure with Ziegenberg. So I've seen builds play 3, and that obviously does work, but I prefer having 4 because 1, I have 4, but it's mostly because you flip 1 over already with your first stride, and when you go into the second one, you're retiring 2 units, and then, or you can retire 1 if you flip over Seabreeze, and then just having that last one to retire 3 units is actually a big deal. Like if they suddenly bam fill the whole field, you really don't want to Ziegenberg and like discard 3 to discard in this meta. So just having this and just retiring 3 units, maybe 4 with your stride skill, is actually really devastating. You're giving your opponent a -4 for 2 counterblast, and that's nuts. And also he gains a natural crit. So yeah, this guy's ability, I don't think I've ever explained it, is at Generation Break 2, you can counterblast 1 and flip over any G unit in your G zone. And then you get to retire units up to the number of face-up copies of himself in the G zone. So if you have 1, you retire 1. If you have 2, you retire 2. Then he gets a new ability. Blaze. No, not Blaze. If this unit is blazing, he gets a critical, and he can blaze by himself. So, yeah. Really good card. Next up, from the new set, 4 Ziegenberg. Really, really good card. So he has the blaze ability. Once per turn, you can Soul Blast 1 and Persona Flip per copy. If you do, you choose a rearguard and retire. The Soul Blast retire is actually pretty good because with Gatling Claw and the crit trigger, you're generating enough soul that you can Soul Blast with this G-Guard, the heal, the G-Guard, and then Ziegenberg. You'll have enough soul for all of them. So you have to manage your soul a little bit, but not too much because Conrad, remember, does not go to soul. So yeah, that's first ability, already pretty good. Flips up 1 for GB8 faster. And his other ability is once per turn at Generation Break 3 you can counterblast 1 and then discard cards equal to the number of rear guards that your opponent has. So if they have 0 you can discard 0 for this. So at the end of the battle that he attacked a Vanguard, that he attacked, if he's blazing, pay the cost, stand this unit, and then you get strive -2. So potentially you can restand for just counterblast 1, which is absolutely nuts. Sometimes I discard 1 and I just make a joke like, oh no, I have to discard for a restand, how horrible. Because a lot of the time this ends up being a plus for me because I just counterblast 1, don't discard anything for my restand, and then I just get a huge hand advantage for that. So yeah, Ziegenberg is an absolutely amazing card. Good pressure card at 3 damage because it's a restander, good pressure card at 4, and a good pressure card at 5. If they're at 2, you maybe want to go into Titan instead, just so you have the extra crit pressure, but Ziegenberg is just a really good card. Next up, we're playing 1 Generation Break 8 because everything in this deck flips face up in the G-Zone. So his ability is Auto Generation Break 8. When he attacks, you retire all your opponent's rear guards, so kills resist units. And then all your rear guards get plus 10k to end a turn. And if you retire 3 or more, this guy gets plus 10k in a crit. So he can hit 36 by himself if you retired 3 or more, which is pretty good. And also, pumping up your lines by 10k is no joke, especially when you have, like I mentioned, the grade 3 and the booster, and you powered up with Cohen. You can get like 51k columns, which is really good. I mean, it's very unlikely that you're going to waste resources after that, but you should be winning the game on this push if you even reach this card, because very often I actually end the game before this. So next up for G-Guards, I'm playing one of the new ones from set 12, who was a rare, but I got an SP version. So when it's placed on Guardian Circle, you can pay the cost of Counterblast 1. During the battle that your Vanguard is attacked by your opponent's Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, this unit gets plus 10k shield for every open rearguard circle they have. So this card, people like to save it for when they have like 3 or 4 empty rearguard circles. But really, you can use this card when they only have 1 or 2 empty rearguard circles, because that would already be a 25-35k shield, meaning half the time it's already a 2 to pass to no pass. So this card's absolutely amazing just for a rare. I really like it. Next up, 2 Denial Griffins, because stopping your opponent's play is really good. So this one's effect is, when it's placed on Guardian Circle, you pay the cost of Counterblast 1. If you do, retire the attacking unit. Choose one of your attacking units, because resist bypasses it, so against slot matchup is actually a bitch. But Denial Griffin's really good. And next up we're playing one, what's this guy called? Advanced Guard Dragon. So when he's placed on Guardian Circle, you can Soul Blast 1 and flip over a G-Guardian. Probably going to be a Denial Griffin of this guy, depending on matchup. If you do, you get to choose one of your opponent's grade 1 or less rear guards that are at rest and retire it. I have seen builds that play 5 G-Guards and play 1 Abyssal Orb for that easy 5k shield. But really, the G-Zone in my deck is too tight. I mean, if you are playing 5 G-Guards, I'd either recommend taking out a Titan, or you take out the last stride, which is the Seabreeze, because Seabreeze isn't 100% necessary, but I have had the chance to have that 3 counterblast retire units, get the counter charging off of the grade 1, and it does hurt the opponent when you go into Seabreeze because of how I play the deck. So yeah, that's just my opinion on the deck, or on the Seabreeze, but yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this deck profile. Yes, there's a lot of SPs in this deck. I was very fortunate to actually get 4 SP Blademaster Titans. I was lucky enough to, you know, get SP crits, SP everything. But yeah, this deck is a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun. I have a lot more fun with this deck out of any other deck in the new set. Because this one I feel like I'm making plays. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, a lot of pressure, a lot of power, lots of crits. If you want to play Blademasters, this is how I play it, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.